Okay, so you're welcome to the Nigerian M365 community. It's great to have us here again tonight. As you know, the Nigerian M365 community is a community where we discuss Microsoft 365, enterprise mobility, Windows 365, and everything around the modern work, as well as secure collaboration in the Microsoft framework. So, as you already know, this is the 4 months intensive Microsoft 365 program. But if you are joining us for the first time, you're welcome. This program is brought to you by the Nigerian 365 community, and it's a mentorship program that runs for 4 months. And this program is here to help you kickstart your digital skills journey and also to help you refresh if you're already part of this journey. So it's free. Then it combines training from different technologies like Microsoft 365 Copilot, Copilot Studio, Entra ID, Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Intune, Microsoft Defender, XDR, as well as Microsoft Purview compliance. So if this looks strange and new to you, just be rest assured that as you go through this program, the next few weeks and months, you become an expert in this kind of technologies because we have a track of mentors that are ready to train you in these technologies that I've highlighted from this flyer. So very quickly, I'm going to be a moderator for today. My name is Adekunle Sarumi, aka Zero Trust Bro. I'm a technical consultant in Microsoft 365 Modern Work and Security, and also part of the Nigerian M365 community at large. And then our speaker for tonight. So if you've been in the session for the last 2 sessions, which would also mean last week, I'm sure you already have a feel of our speaker. So she's back again to continue on that same track. And our speaker is Madam Titilope Bello. She's a mentor in the Nigerian 365 community, one of our foremost leaders. And she's also the IT manager at Ha-Shem Limited. She has a very impressive credentials, which include Microsoft Certified Trainer. She's an SME on M365 and Azure. So anything M365, Madam Titilope is your POC. And then she has an expertise that runs over 12 years. So this is a lot of experience. And that's why she's actually, like I said, one of our leaders in the community as well. So she's going to continue tonight as she brings us on the same topic, which is around Exchange Online. So I wanted you guys to actually listen and actually learn from the best of the best in the game. So if you are skipping rules, because I want us to be very quick with the introduction so that we can get to it. First off is this session is already being recorded and to be made available for your future viewing. And just to reiterate it, we've noticed over time that while the session is going on, we see requests like, where's the recording? So I just want to advise that you shouldn't make that a distraction. You should be more bothered about the now, what you can gain now. Yes, we know it's recorded, but you shouldn't wait because it's recorded. You should actually get what you need to get if you can on the call and then use the recording as a reference because most people just come on and just ask if it's recorded. And once they know they drop off, or maybe they just go and do some other thing. But I tell you, it's always fresh when you are part of the session so that you can ask a question and then let it flow immediately. So please, the session is recorded, but please, we still demand at least your 100% concentration as we go on. Then also your mics are muted currently, but when we get to the question and answer, your mics will be enabled for you to be able to ask questions. So once your mics are enabled, you can unmute yourself that time and then ask your questions once you are being called upon. So we'd also want to pen down your questions until the Q&A. So I know it might be a burning question for you that can't wait. If you can't pen it down, you can drop it in the chat. We also have all other mentors who are already in the chat that would be able to respond to your question or would defer to Madam Titi. And then when she gets to Q&A, she can easily respond to your questions. So let's pen down questions. Then please, we want to indulge you to please follow us on Twitter and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is where you can go to keep yourself up to date on all our events, and the recordings as well are being uploaded to the YouTube channel almost immediately after the session. So if it doesn't get to the YouTube channel tonight, by tomorrow, you should have it uploaded to the YouTube channel for you to track. But please want to encourage you to like the videos, share them, and subscribe to our page. As you know, this is a free training. The best you could do for us is to assist to like this channel and subscribe to it as well. Thank you. And then lastly, we value your feedback. And so please, during the course of the training as well, an attendance form will be shared. You don't always have to request for it. We have a mentor that would share that link. Don't use that to distract yourself as well. Just wait till it is shared, and then you can put in your information in the attendance link as well as the feedback. So that's it for the introduction. I'll now yield the floor to Madam Titilope to take it away. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Adekunle. Am I audible? All right. I need to be sure that I'm audible. Can anyone hear me? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So without further delay, I'm just going to share my screen. Moment. All right. Yeah, I want to believe you can all see my screen rather. Uh, sorry. Today's topic is about Mayflow, Mayflow in M365, Mayflow in Exchange Online, right? And troubleshooting as well. And that's what today's topic is all about. We have actually touched a bit of that uh, last week and even the previous. We touched a bit of the Mayflow and then, sorry, the troubleshooting aspect, but we'll look at it in depth today. Okay. And at the end of the day, as usual, we can have questions at the end of the session. And also, at the end of the day, we'll be sharing with you again the lab guide so that you can actually try your hands on them. We know that the environment you're currently using is a shared environment. So if you have your own environment, you can do the opposite of what the lab is saying. But a lot of time when you're using a shared environment, it means you have to be careful of the changes that you made so that you don't lock everyone out of the tenants, right? So I'm just going to move on go in properly on what we have to do today. So on the agenda today is we're going to be talking about Mayflow, right? What Mayflow really means to you as an IT administrator or as an help desk engineer. And at the end of today, we want you to be confident, especially when you hear people say, "Oh, I sent the email, but they didn't get the mail." What does it mean to you? How can you troubleshoot it? So again, look at Mayflow at a beginner friendly level, right? More like understanding how email moves, right? The role of what we call accepted domains, that's domains in Office 365 and connectors. Then we'll look at, or let's say we'll spend most of our time around troubleshooting. So the troubleshooting tool we'll be using the message flow, and probably we can look at message insight or make flow insight, and also yes, Mayflow Insight and Mayflow, a few Mayflow settings, right? Now, as usual, let's picture something before we go deep into the session, right? When a customer or a user, so when I mean customer can be your internal user, right? They can be a customer that you service, right? As an IT professional or as an IT administrator that is supporting doing a service for a customer. So in your organization, you might be servicing other clients, right? Like IT consulting firm. Okay, so a customer or user tells you that, oh, we sent an email, or in this case now, the finance came to you, or the finance guy came to you and tell you, oh, I sent an email to a customer, but they didn't get the email. And what's the content of the email? It's an invoice, right? But they didn't receive it. So what are the things that or questions that you need to answer? You need to answer questions like, oh, did that email from the user who sent the mail, was it received by Exchange Online, right? And if it was received, was the email, was it processed? In this case, Mayflow will reveal a lot of things to you. You will want to answer the question of, did the Mayflow rule change it, right? There are times you have to create a rule to carry out one task or the other, or perform an action, one action or the other on an email that is either sent out or email that is received within the organization. Or the next question is, did the domain setting affect routing? So when we mean routing, right, is this setting more like you're saying routing means what should happen to an email, which route, which path should they take when it comes, and that is where even a connector comes in. Then you ask, was a connector involved, right, in this flow of this particular email message? Uh, another thing is this, right? You also want to ask again, if the email got to Exchange Online and the rest, where did they go? Right? Where did they go? Well, said again, the tool that you'll be using is Message Trace, and your job as an IT administrator or help desk is to do what? Is to find the status plus what happened to the email. Right? That will be your job. Okay? So now we'll be moving on to our take home for today. At the end of this class, or at the end of this particular session, you will be able to explain what we call accepted domains, right? Domains, we talked about domains earlier in the very first session, but now we give it a new name, accepted domains, right? What do we call accepted domain? And what are the different types of accepted domains that we can have within Exchange Online? You will be able to understand that, right? You will understand in depth what are connectors, why are they required, what are they used for, right? You will have that understanding. And then when it comes to Mayflow rules, right? Rules, they are more like conditions, there are exceptions, there are actions that need to be taken on an email that is either going in or coming out of your organization. Those are the things you will be able to explain at least to somebody what they mean, and where do you get insight. You'll be able to understand and show even someone where you go, right, to go and get insight or troubleshoot email issue for users within your organization. I saw in the chat over the weekend, right, and the WhatsApp group chat, where some people were complaining of inability to sign into the Exchange Online, sorry, to their with their M365 account. And I saw that some people actually came up to say, oh, I can have a call with you I know what the problem is. We can have a call to walk through it together. Yes, you also saw people say, "Oh, thank you, so 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 and so," right? You really took time. You are a true help desk engineer. So it's very inspiring when we see you have been able to learn something in the class, or however you learned them, and you are able to help somebody to walk through or navigate through a challenge and resolve that issue. So that's an example of the job you'll be doing when it comes to supporting an exchange online environment. So now let's look at this simply Mayflow, right? The simple mental model when it comes to Mayflow. Mayflow simply means the path, right? It simply means the path on which an email travel before it lands in the mailbox of the recipient, right? That is Mayflow. Then the other thing is the fact that Mayflow is controlled by the admin. The admin can tell what happened to an email, right? In while that message is in transit, what happens to it? And that is where your Mayflow rules comes in. And also where to start from is your message trace and then rule plus routing check, right? And if I will break that down for you, I will say again, Mayflow is described in a simple term as the path from the internet to a mailbox, right? And then back. When somebody sends, let's say two organizations are trying to exchange email, you send from your own email server. It will go through the internet from your own Outlook. It goes into your server, and then your server send it to the internet. The internet receives it and send it to the destination. So in most organizations, Microsoft 365 handles the mailboxes. They handle the mailboxes and filter end to end. But some environments had a bit of complexity, like having a third party email filtering gateway or email filtering service where that email, that's where the part is coming in, where that email, before it lands in their user's mailbox, it will first go through a third party anti-spam service. That's what they call email filter service, anti-spam service before it finally gets to the server. It also happened in the case of hybrid, where an organization you are supporting have an hybrid environment. They have a Microsoft Exchange server in their on-premises data center, and they have created a pipe, right, to connect that pipe between the on-prem and the Exchange Online so that users can exchange email across the two environments, right? So let's quickly look at picture the mail flow here. You are the user here. You draft your email in your Outlook, and the first thing you need to do for that email to move is to hit the send button. When you hit the send button, the email right in your Outlook goes into your outbox, the outbox folder, right? And from the outbox, that outbox is actually all your mailbox is on the server. So the server understands each of the folders that you have, and it understands how the flow is supposed to be. So Outlook take that message as you hit the send button, it takes it and send it into the outbox folder. Right, from the outbox folder, the server, your server, in this case, your server could also be Exchange Online here, and it could be another mail server, it could be an on-premises Exchange server, right? The server picks it up from the outbox folder, right? And then you look at it within itself. Where did they say I should send this email? This email message is not for a user. It's not for a user within our organization. If it was for a user within this same mail server, it will not go to the internet. So I need you to understand that. If it is an internal email, that's what they call internal email and external email. Internal means the mail is for the mail exchange between internal users, users within the same organization. Then there is the external mail. So the external mail is the one that is going to a user that is not in your own organization, right? So now Exchange Server picks the email, look at the various routing rules, which is connectors in this case, and send it to the internet, send a broadcast on the internet. Who knows the recipient? Who knows this recipient? The server that knows the recipient will respond based on their DNS setting. That's what they call MX record. MX record means mail exchanger record. So if a server wants to exchange email, you make an announcement on the internet. The DNS server gets that announcement and picks it up. Oh, I know where this mailbox is. Then it gives the server, the exchange server, is send the exchange server the IP address of the recipient server and send it to that IP address through the internet. So now, if the recipient have an agent or an email filtering service in between, let's say they're in Exchange Online, they have an email service in between. That email will go through the internet. The email service will receive it and scan and check if it is clean. If it's clean, then it then delivers it to Exchange Online protection. So if every organization that subscribe to Exchange Online have this email filtering service with Exchange Online as well, the Exchange Online protection, we call it, you might hear a lot of times, you might hear EOP, EOP, EOP. EOP simply means Exchange Online protection. And that is the anti-spam service within Microsoft platform to scan any email that comes from outside the network, outside their own environment into their users' mailbox. So once Exchange Online check the email, if it is a spam, it categorize it as spam. That's what there are different kind of spam also, but I won't go into that today. Right? If it is spam, it does what? It blocks the email. There are different settings that is available that if you are confirmed it is spam, block the email. So it doesn't send it. But if the email is clean, it check within itself and deliver that email into the mailbox of the user in Exchange Online. Right? That is simply the way the mail flow within Exchange Online, right from your Outlook into another user's Outlook. Now, when you drop it in the user's mailbox in Exchange Online, the recipient can check his own Outlook client. That's another desktop, bring another desktop machine over here, right? Recipient is user here. To bring it here, and it can check his Outlook here, and it will be able to see the email and access and make use of it, right? That is the simple mail flow. Now let's quickly look at the terms within Exchange Online again that you should get yourself really familiar with, because when it comes to troubleshooting, when it comes to even configuring, sometimes you will hear this a lot. And we have actually talked a lot uh, we have actually talked a lot about all this, right? But just for you to register more, if you are hearing some of this, don't get confused, right? Accepted domain again, in its simple term, what it means is who we accept email from as an organization. So if I pick M365 and Nigeria M365, for instance, we have our own tenants. And the tenant, there's an accepted domain there that is called Nigeria M365 .com, right? So every user in this environment carries their name at the domain.com. So that domain is our own accepted domain. And what we are telling Exchange Online is that accept email from this domain, right? Then there's the other ones we call remote domain. The remote domain is how we behave when sending email to an outsider or to people that are not within our organization. So settings, there are also settings that control format, right? Format and auto replies or information that is shared, especially with external domains, domains that is not within our own control. And in this case, if you go to Office 365, you will see a connector. In the connector, you will see asterisk, right? The asterisk means we can send email. Our users can send email to any domain that is out there. The moment you remove that asterisk and put Google, it means they can only send email to Google. That's what it means, right? So remote domain controls how we behave when sending email out to external domains. Then we have connectors again. Connectors are special routing or security paths. Simply put, they are instructions that are customized or that customize how mail flows between Microsoft 365 and other messaging platforms or messaging services, right? That is simply what a connector does. It customizes or instructs the Exchange Online the path to take to deliver the message to the destination. Then you have mail flow rule again. They are simply called transport rules in Exchange Online. In Exchange Online today, when you go there, you won't see transport rules. You will just see rules, right? But in the past, you will see transport rules called transport rule. So if you hear transport rule or Mayflow rules or rules, just know they are all saying the same thing. And what are they? They are simply policies, right? Or policy decisions why the messages is moving. It means why the messages are in transit. Certain decisions or actions that are taken on those emails in transit, right? And we have message trace. By now, you should already be familiar with message trace. And finally, it is insight. Insight, what it does is it detects issues early. Here, you can see things like loops. You can highlight loop patterns to you. And when we mean loops, loop is a situation where email goes from one server to the other. It's just going and never deliver, right? You can hear there's a way you can also review a message header, and from the message header you will see that it was sent to this server. The server sent to this server. Server one sent to server two. Server two sent back to server one. Server one sent back to server two. So it's just looping. It's just going around in circle, right? It's not moving from the position. So that is simply, insight. It helps you to detect loops. It helps you to detect. It shows rules that affect or apply an email, or even show even suspicious forwarding. Right. So you are able to detect issues early within your environment. Now let's look deeply again into accepted domain. Again, what are they? Right? Accepted any domain that is added, right? Again, we have said in Office 365, any domain that you add becomes your accepted domain. Remember that when you spin up or when you subscribe to Office 365 or Microsoft 365 service, there is an initial domain that is attached to you, which we call it temporary domain then. It is anything.onmicrosoft.com, right? That is the initial temporary domain that Microsoft gives to every organization that subscribes to their service, right? But for branding's sake, and for professionalism, people might already know us at NG on NigeriaM365.com. So because we are signing up for Microsoft 365, we can't be using the temporary email. Then we need to add our own custom domain. They call it either custom domain or vanity domain. The moment we add our own domain that is called NigeriaM365.com, it becomes automatically our accepted domain in Exchange Online, right? It becomes automatically our accepted domain in Exchange Online. And with this, right, the reason it matters is because Exchange uses this to decide whether it should deliver message or messages to mailbox within Office 365 or within Microsoft 365 or send it somewhere else. That is the accepted domain help Exchange Online to determine that. This user, if you receive an email and the email is saying NigeriaM365.com, it means that user is definitely within the Exchange Online. It will look for his mailbox and deliver. But if he sees things like maybe textilers.com, he knows that this email domain, we don't have any domain here, any accepted domain here that is called textilers.com. So it means that email is not within our own organization. It will send it out through the connector. That is what accepted domain, right, simply does. Now, there are different types of accepted domains. We have what we call authoritative, and we have internal relay. So, authoritative is actually responsible for, or Microsoft is responsible for this domain. And if a user does not exist in Exchange Online, the email is rejected, or it rejects the email. So that's what we mean. Authoritative means Exchange Online is the one hosting all of our users' mailbox within our organization. Our mailbox is not anywhere. We don't have mailboxes anywhere else. In this case, an organization is operating purely on Exchange Online. They don't have anything on-prem that they are connecting in hybrid. They are not operating in hybrid mode, right? That is what the authoritative. So when you mean authoritative, just like the name says, authority, that Exchange Online have the authority to send out email for all of the domain or accepted domain within it, right? And also authority to receive email for those domains, right? Then internal relay, what this simply means is that some of our users called recipients. So in case I start using the word recipients, I've been using it, don't get confused. They are still users, but their mailboxes are not in Microsoft, they are not in Exchange Online. They are hosted somewhere else. In this case, they might be on an Exchange server on-prem. They might be on-prem, right? Where you have some users, their mailboxes are there, right? So you will be using the accepted domain type called internal relay setting. That is telling Exchange Online that if you didn't find some of the users with this our accepted domains here, just know that we have some users somewhere else. So look through the connector and you will discover where to find the rest of the users. That is what the internal relay simply means, right? But you need to know that internal relay always need a connector. And what is the connector for? The connector is now to tell it where to find the server that is hosting the mailbox of the user in question, of the recipient in question, right? So let's look at this example of when some of these domain types, domain type, accepted domain types will be used. Consider a case of a merger or a subsidiary or a partial move, either a merger, a subsidiary, or a situation where an organization is currently using Exchange on-prem. They were currently on-prem, and now they've subscribed to Microsoft 365 service, and they have created a pipe called hybrid. They've created an hybrid connection between their on-prem Exchange server and Exchange Online. So in this case, you will use the internal relay connector, the internal relay option for your accepted domain, right? Then you can have a situation where someone have Exchange on-prem or another mail server somewhere else, and they want to do what we call a gradual migration. So a gradual migration requires that while you move a few users to Exchange Online, the remaining users are not suffering from receiving email. And the users that remain in the old or former Exchange server, they are able to still communicate with users that have already migrated their mailboxes to the cloud, right? So this is a case where you will be using internal relay. And again, it helps to avoid issues of bounce messages during the transition. So when we say bounce, a situation whereby the server is unable to see, if you have used authoritative, the server will say you cannot find the mailbox, or the mailbox, the user does not exist in the mail server. The user does not exist on the mail server. That's a bounce message. And you will get, the sender will get a message. My screen just went black and came back. The sender will send a message to the server will send a message back to the sender that that user does not exist. That is what they call bounce messages, right? So moving on, let's quickly look at the other domain, which is the remote domain. Let's break it down for that again, right? Remote domains, simply they are partner behavior settings. When we mean partner here, be your partner, it could be just any user or any organization that is out there on the internet, right? If a partner says, for instance, but let's just use partner so it can make sense. If a partner says, for instance, we are not seeing your out of office, right? And when we mean out of office have to do with your calendar. So there are times where you want to create an email, a meeting invite or a calendar for an event, and you go to your calendar rather, and you check, you pick somebody's name. You might see things that say, oh, maybe the person is busy, or the person have a conflicting meeting with the time that you are selecting. Or there could be a situation where you specifically share your calendar with somebody either within or outside of your own organization. That way, they will be able to see your out of office information. That's your calendars, your meeting, before they can book meetings with you, right? That is majorly the remote domain, what he help you to do. And also, we also said he allow us to send email, right, to certain uh, uh, certain external domains or external recipients, whether certain automatic messages are sent. So in this case, the case where you see things like automatic messages, you are going on leave. Yeah, you are going on leave. This is a good example. You are going on leave, and you need to set out of office, or let's say a salesperson is going on leave. You usually receive a lot of email messages or requests from customers, or it could even be an IT support engineer that is going on leave. In his own mailbox, he's going to go and set what they call out of office, right? That out of office means the message that should be that recipients should see or senders should see when they send an email to me or to that administrator that is going on leave. So I will use it to tell them that, oh, I'm on leave. If you need anything urgent, you must have seen things like that before, where you send a mail to someone and you get another message, you reply that says the user is currently on leave, and that if it's very urgent, reach out to so. That's the contact of the person you can reach out to if it is urgent will be listed or stated in that email. That email you are seeing is actually an automatic reply. It replies automatically because the user has set it up that is going on leave, and it should send that message to anybody, either external or internal, that send email to him. So they are aware that this guy is not around, and he will come back on so time. So in case they need anything that only him can provide, then they have to wait for him to come back, right? That is majorly remote domain in another way to put it. Now, let's look into connector in detail. We have said again that it is instructions that customize mail flow, right? And most organizations, they don't need them for normal internet email, right? If what you are sending is just to send email to the internet, you don't need a connector. If you have an authoritative accepted domain, you don't need a connector, right? But there are situations or instances that require you to specifically create connectors. And one of those instances, if you are running an hybrid environment, you have some users in Microsoft 365 Exchange Online, and you have some users on the on-prem server. That is a situation where you will need to create a connector to tell each of them how to find each other, right? So a connector, again, is basically policies that say when a mail goes from here to there, treat it specifically, right? Or specially this way. And Microsoft explained connectors, right, as instruction. Again, I've already said it, and I cannot over stress this for you to actually pick it. And we said again, most organizations don't need it. And if you are relaying email between you and your partner, so there can be also instance where your partner says, oh, when you are sending email, okay, I think I should go to the next page to explain that. Now, let's just use this to kind of determine common scenarios where you will need a connector again, right? I've talked about this a lot of times. Hybrid environment between Exchange Online and your mail server, that's your on-prem mail server, or wherever it is hosted, right? It means you have users in both environments. And mind you, you cannot have a mailbox in the two, or a single user in the two environments. So if you have user one cannot have a mailbox in Exchange Online and also have a mailbox on-prem. Your mailbox can exist in one place at a time. So you need to take note of that in case you are running hybrid environment. Now, another instance is where you need connector is if a partner says, let's say you are partnering or you have a business, business, you are doing business with, let's say, one of the government, EFCC, for instance. And EFCC said, we want secure communication between you, your users, and themselves. So that one of the requirements is any email you are sending to us must be specially encrypted with a particular certificate. Any email you are sending to us must come from a particular IP address, right? And any email must have certain or must not contain a kind of a keyword or something that will cause it to bounce back or for their own server not to receive it. So in this case, you will create a connector and put those settings in the connector. So anytime you send email, your user is sending email to EFCC, it will not go through the internet. It will go through that connector that you have created, right? Another instance is a situation where you have devices or applications that are sending email through your Microsoft 365 service. They are relaying email. So in what situation is this? Let's say you have a printer, right? And if your printer also scans, anytime users need to scan their document, you want the scanned document to go directly into their email, into their inbox, right? In this case, you will configure a connector in Microsoft 365 to receive email when that printer send email to it. SK Online, please receive it. It should come from this particular IP address. Receive it and deliver it to the mailbox of the user. That's another situation or another case. Or you have line of business application that is hosted either in your on-prem environment or even in another cloud. And you need it to be able to send email either to users or within your organization or the user outside. So you need to have a mail server, and that your mail server is now your Exchange Online. The last part is third-party filtering gateway. This is a situation where an organization have a email filtering service somewhere. Let's say Sophos, right? Sophos email gateway, for instance. Sophos is a security company. So they produce different security solutions. So they have email services, email filtering service. So anytime email comes from the internet, for instance, it goes to Sophos first. And Sophos collect it or receive it and send it to Exchange Online. Or you can also say when your users are sending email from Exchange Online, it should go to Sophos to go and be filtered before it goes out to deliver. So that means you want to filter even your outbound email to ensure that your user internally are also not sending out spam to other organizations. Those are instances where you need to create connectors. Now, there are also types of connectors in Exchange Online. We have what we call inbound connectors and we have outbound connectors. So in case you hear the older admins say inbound and outbound connectors, just don't panic. Just know that it's the same connectors that you now know today. It's what they are talking about. But in this case, there is inbound, there is outbound. I'll go back to the previous email. If we have an hybrid where there are other servers on the on-prem environment that hosted some of our users' mailbox, we will need to create two connectors. One that's in Exchange Online now. One is called inbound. We are saying inbound from the on-prem server to Exchange Online is coming in. Anything coming in is inbound. Coming in, inbound, incoming, right? That's what the inbound means. Then we'll not tell Exchange Online also, we'll create another one that says Exchange Online, if you want to reach the mailboxes of the user on-prem, send it to this public IP address or this domain name. Maybe it can be webmail.nigeriam365.com. So Exchange Online will go to the internet and go and look for it, but it will go through that connector, right? That is outbound. Now, Exchange Online is sending outwards, outside. That's what outbound simply means, right? So, now let's look at safe flow rules. What are they, right? And I've said again, they can also be referred to as transport rules. So if you hear Exchange Online, Exchange On-Prem, people that have Exchange On-Prem saying transport rules, transport rules, they're actually referring to this to Mayflow rules. And we said again, right? The direct emails and perform certain action to perform certain action on email messages before they are delivered into the user's mailbox, right? But there's also what we call Outlook inbox rule. This Mayflow rule, they are more powerful than that Outlook inbox rule. Outlook inbox rule are rules in Outlook. For instance, you create a folder and say any email that comes from Titilope at nigeriam365.com, let it go to this folder. Those are simple inbox rule. But Mayflow rule, they go beyond that. It could be that you say when an email comes for a particular user, a copy of that email to be sent to another user, or it will redirect the email completely somewhere else, or it will block the email and send a response to the user. Or you can say, oh, you can create a Mayflow rule that says if a particular user in your organization wants to send out an email, it will be blocked, and tell him that you are not allowed to send email out. Another situation is you want to add what they call disclaimer, right? Disclaimer means you might have seen email that have something like this. Let me try and bring something up for you. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I have something here. So you might have seen email that have something like this below, right? Let's zoom on this. Yeah, zoom in. Okay. Zoom in again and zoom in again. I hope it's clear enough. I'm not sure. So you might have seen email where you see something at the bottom that is saying this email message or this email is optimized for blah 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 blah, or this email was sent to from this domain. And if you are not the intended recipient, kindly delete the email. You might have seen something like that, right? So in this case, that is called disclaimer. Disclaimer to tell people, in case you receive email that is not meant for you, please do this to the email message. This this another version. I think that one I showed you earlier was not exactly a disclaimer, but this is more like it, right? You can see things like this. And you see, okay. Moment, please. Okay, so trying to get a copy for you. See, right, domain or company and ngm365.com, for instance. So you might have something like this. I'm sure it's very familiar. You will have something like this, disclaimer, right? This message contains confidential information, blah, 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 blah. If you are not the intended recipient, kindly delete this email from your inbox. Any action you perform on this email when it's not meant for you, you will be liable for it. And the organization that sent that email, they are kind of trying to exonerate themselves. That is a disclaimer. Those are things you can use Mayflow rule to do also. Moving on here. So there is what we call components, or if I would say when building a Mayflow rule, what are those things that you must consider, right? One is component or a component of a Mayflow rule is one is conditions, right? Conditions. What should happen before an action is taken? What should happen before an action is taken? That is condition. That's what to match, right? Then you have exception. Exceptions happen where, oh, if this group, let's say, if this particular group is send an email, do this, perform this action, except the member, a particular member of that group is this other person, then accept the person. So you might have, for instance, you might have an organization-wide group, email group, and you do not want a situation that is just anybody in the company that can just send email. They maybe company all at companydomain.com. Then you don't want just anybody, because that email, all the executives, the CEO, they are all there. And you don't want people to just send the email to you just because they could send email. So you can create a Mayflow rule that says any email that come in that matches the email address of that group, the all company at company.com. Check who is the sender. If the sender is anyone within the organization, block it, delete it without delivering it to that email group, except it is HR that is sending the mail. Then accept it and deliver the message to every user in the organization, except it is HR. Those are instances where you give an exception to rules that you have configured. So a Mayflow rule have these three components, but it's not in all cases that you have had an exception. You might not need an exception in some cases, right? So I just wanted to ensure that you understand that. Now, let's look again at the rule modes. When you configure a rule, or when you create a rule in Exchange Online, you have to also make a decision of whether that rule to be enforced immediately, or whether it should be how will I say it, or you should just apply it on test mode only, right? Test mode only, which means you should not take any action. You should just monitor and report. That's you are testing it. It will monitor, it will check what you want it to check, but it will not enforce it, right? Which a lot of the time, the best practice is test it first. Test it thoroughly before you enforce. So it might be that you want a situation whereby when when there are people within your organization, you don't want them to just send email, or you want a copy of an email that come in to be forwarded to somebody else. In that case, before you do that, you can actually test it before you start forwarding. You tell it to test. That way, it will send you, but it will still deliver the message to the original intended recipient. So you have test mode and you have, sorry, enforce mode and you have test mode. When you enforce it, the rule start applying, it take effect immediately, right? Immediately, it take effect. So sometimes that immediate can also take some time. So you have to be patient in case you apply the rule and it didn't work immediately. You can also do a research on how long a rule, but in most cases, the rule take effect immediately, right? But it's always good to test it and test it properly before you actually before you apply it, especially if it is going to be an org-wide rule that you are creating. So you don't want it to do what you did not plan or bargain for, right? So in that case, uh, oh, okay. Someone is asking to take a short minute break. I guess we can do that because I myself I need to take a little bit of water. Yeah. Okay. Uh, that's fine. We can take a break. Just 5 minutes break. 5 minutes break. So we'll be back 9:07. Thank you. Uh, yes, stretch your leg a bit. 5 minutes. I'll be back. All right. I hope we are back. If you are back, just give me thumb up. Okay, great. So we can continue from here. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll soon get to the demo part. We're almost there. Soon get there. Just a few more slides, right, to go through, and it's important also. Now, uh, when it comes to troubleshooting, right, our main tool to use, or your first tool to consider when it comes to troubleshooting email messaging in Microsoft 365 is the message trace. The message trace can show you information like whether an email was received, whether an email was rejected, whether it was deferred or delivered. You will see. You will see it will show you the final action, right? So it will show you the final action of what happened to that particular email or what action was taken. Was the email sent to the user's junk folder? Was the email sent to a custom folder or subfolder that has been created using an inbox rule, what we call Outlook rule, the other time? So exchange and message trees allow you to be able to determine that. So if you are troubleshooting, you will check that and you will tell the user, oh, check here. Your email was actually in this location. Go and check the particular folder. In case the user have actually created a folder, right, that will be a rule that automatically move email into certain folder. Now, uh, the what are the things when we are looking at message trees? What are the things that we will be looking out for, right? What are the things? Some of the things you'll be looking out for is the sender. We'll be looking out for recipient match, uh, time window. So how long the email you are looking for? How long are you looking for? The default view is 2 hours. When you want to create a message tree search, right? Default view is 2 hours. Sorry, 2 days. I mean 2 days. Now, again, the other thing you look for is the delivery status. So that delivery status is what will tell you whether a message was delivered or what happened, right? You will see it plus any other event that happened. You will see all of this. There's a detailed thing when you open one of the emails that might come out from your research. When you open it further to see more detail, you see all this information. Now, interpreting the results, right, is also very important. When you see deliver, do not misinterpret it as the message being read. It is only deliver. You cannot read the message you cannot tell when the user have read the message or recipient has read the message or not. But it will tell you delivered. That means the mail has delivered to the intended recipient, right? Then, if you say failed or rejected, you need to take note of why. Always put the details of why it's failed or why it's rejected, the mail was rejected. You will see it there. So take note of that. Ask the question why and get your answer from that same message detail. Then you might see things like deferred, delayed, or temporary condition. So sometimes you send email, and when you go to message trace, you will see it's telling you delay. It can be delayed in different for different reasons. It can be that the recipient server is actually not accepting email messages at that time, And there's a setting that they have put there that naturally, there's a setting rather that says before you send a bounce message or return the message back to the sender, right? Hold on to the message, to the email for maybe 3 days, 72 hours. Hold on to the message for like 72 hours. After 72 hours, return to the user and tell the user that you are unable to deliver the message, right? So things like that can happen. When you see like that, take note of what is the reason for it being delayed or deferred. Then um Uh, finally, is the insight, which we talked about. It helps you to see things like possible loops, a possible loop, may loop, right? It helps you to see slow may flow rule and forwarding anomalies within your organization. And you can actually, based on that, you can go to take corrective action, right? So the insight dashboard allow you to be proactive in monitoring uh, message service delivery services within your Microsoft 365. So if you are troubleshooting, right, there should be certain flow that you follow, right? But a lot of time, even when we have a process to follow, right? Um, the thing is, sometimes the moment you hear a problem, you are not even sitting down to analyze it. And sometimes the solution is the simplest thing that is staring at you in the face, right? But because it's an issue, our head is wired or our brain is wired to start looking for something so advanced to resolve that particular problem. So the question again that you will ask yourself is, who sent the message? Who to receive the message? Did the tenant receive the message? Right? In your trace is going to be to show that again. Was there a rule or are there rules that are affecting the message delivery? Right? Was there a routing part involved? Maybe a connector was created and is causing the issue. What was the setting of the connector? Is there an accepted domain or remote domain issue? The other time I talk about if you remove the asterisk that says any, asterisk means any. If you remove it and put yahoo.com, google.com, it means you have limited your user to where that your domain can send email to, right? And what is the insight suggesting for you on a broader level? Those are those are common questions you ask when it comes to troubleshooting Mayflow in Exchange Online. And here are common mistakes that people make that you should avoid, right? One is setting internal relay without the required connector to route email to the other server that should be available. So you configure internal relay, and now that is causing email delivery failure. Other thing is in a broad Mayflow rule without testing it first. Just like I explained the other time, it might be a rule that's supposed to affect every email that is coming in and out of the organization. And you just apply the rule without testing the impact first, right? And that impact or the negative effect can send you, into panic mode, right? You should be careful of such. And then the other thing is troubleshooting without message trace waste time. The user just tell you the sending mail is not delivering. Yes, you need to start from, oh, okay, who did you send to? Who was supposed to be your recipient? It tells you, and then you already know the user, that the sender. The next thing you will ask is, can you confirm, did you leave your outbox? Okay, maybe you should quickly send a test email to another email address. Did you receive? If that one was received, oh, so why was this one not? So that's another thing. Sometimes we just jump into troubleshooting without a message trace. If you have to do with email, your first place to go is message trace. It will tell you what could possibly, and if you are searching and you can't see anything, it means that email never gets there, right? If you search message trace and you cannot see any email at all, it means the email never get there. And the reason could be the email was straight, outrightly sent to spam or blocked, by spam or other things. Or sometimes the email has not even, it just gets lost in transit, right? That can happen where some things is swallowing the email as as the email are sent right to the internet. Now let's look at how some of these uh, things work, right? Let's quickly look at them. Okay, so we go into laptop and now we're going to bring up my Exchange Online or my admin dashboard and going to Exchange Online. Now, one of the things we want to do here is to show or demonstrate some of the things that we have talked about, and then you can go into your own environment to also walk through those things again, right? Um, so let's see. I think someone asked me last week, create an email, a mailbox for you. Sorry. Can you help me drop your account again? That should be, was the name? Let me quickly get that. Um, Someone requested last week to create email for you. Can you drop your names again if you're on the call? Okay, I've seen it. Never mind. So I have Charles. Who's that? Who's- Like I said, it is. Yes, you have your account. You're here. Okay, so the first place we want to go is the Exchange Online Admin Center. So two of you have it if you're on the call and have your account, right? So we're going to look at the accepted domains first. Okay. Okay. So I'm in Exchange Online. I'm just going to go to I'll go to Mayflow, right? Under Mayflow, it's where you see all those. So here we have accepted domains, right? So I have these 3 domains, and if you notice the type, authoritative, it means Exchange Online is the only serve. All my mailboxes, all my user mailboxes are here in Exchange Online. So it's not going to send email anywhere else. And is it allowed to send email? Yes, they're allowed to send email. These are this where you are going to make a domain either authoritative or non-authoritative. So I can go into this one right now, and I can choose to set it from non-authoritative to, from authoritative to internal relay. Mind you, internal relay also means non-authoritative, so you might hear that as well, right? So I have it here. Now to add domain, if you notice, there is no option to add domain here. For you to add domain, you must always go to the admin center. Let's go back to admin center. Under settings, you have domains, right? You select domains, and this is where you can add your own domain. So I have one domain here that I was trying to add, but I didn't complete it. So simply, this is how to add domain. Add, I have one. I can add interview.com.ng, right? I have this guy sitting down somewhere, and then I'll say use this domain, because you will notice Chavi.net is not showing up in the accepted domain because we've not finished adding it, right? That's why it's not showing up. So I'll say use that domain. And once we finish, it already see that I'm posting my domain in Cloudflare. I can either sign in, so it will go and add the record, or I click the more option, right? If I click the more option, I will select this option that says add a text record. This is good when you want to take control. This is recommended if you want Microsoft to log in to your host and go and add it for you. But if you want to be in control of what record is added, I like to be in control. Yes, then you will select the add a text record to the domain DNS record, and then we say continue. Right. So in this case, I'm going to try to sign in here again to Cloudflare. Yeah, I will sign into Cloudflare. From Cloudflare, I'll be able to add this record. So if I go back to this, okay, I'll give it. I'm adding it back. I'm trying to sign into my Cloudflare environment. That is my domain, my DNS host. My domain is hosted somewhere else, but that's my DNS host. Right. Okay. Let's leave this. I don't need this. Okay, so here is the domain that we are talking about, right? And I'm just going to go back to admin center, and this is the record it has created for me. This is the value. Just copy that and go back to the Cloudflare and click my domain. Then under the domain, you go to DNS. in case you are in the same place, but if not, anywhere, and anyone, whether it's GoDaddy or anyone, it's under DNS record. Then I go to DNS record, and under DNS record, I can add the record, and I'll select the type here. Going to be what? A TXT record is what I want to add. The root is at the domain. Use at for domain. Oh, sure. What did I? Okay. Use at for the domain. If you notice what is asking me here, because at the root domain is what we are dealing with. That's why you use at. The moment you use at, it means at the domain itself, right? Then this is a value, okay? And I'm going to click save. Saving it, I'm telling now Office 365 or Microsoft 365 that I've created a record. To go and check to verify that I own the domain. That is what this means. This is to verify that you are the owner of the domain. Then I'll click verify. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes it can take as much as 72 hours. That's 3 days for it to propagate or take effect on the internet. So this is great. I've added my domain. I've seen it. Now the next thing is going to ask me is what to add other DNS records. And this DNS record is to be used for what? Set up Exchange for Outlook email, contact, and scheduling. So I'm going to, instead of allowing Microsoft again, I'm going to be in control. I'll select this option, right? And click continue. What it will now do is to give me the list of records for different services based on what I want to use the domain for. So let's say we want to use the domain right now. We want to use it for every service, including Exchange, Exchange Online. So I will have all the records here. This is our MX record, and we are going to add the MX record also, right? This opportunity for you to add your own domain. So I'm going to, is at the root again, but the value is this long thing. So I'm going to go back and say, create a record. Let's see if I don't have any MS record here before, but sometimes it's going to give you error if you already have one. Service record. I have MS records. I have this guy. This one is for Office 365 already. I can edit this, right? And replace what I have here. Replace my value. And then I click save. Or in case you want to add from beginning, just click add record again and select the record type. For this time, select MX record, that's mail exchanger. Then you put here, we put at, that's the root. Then we put the value. The value here now is this address to point to or value. That is what mail server means. That's what it requires. Then you can set what they call time to leave, right? Time to leave. Max you can set here is a day, but default is going to default to, I think it defaults to receive, I can't remember what this one defaults to. For some environment, some other hosts, you will see things like 30 minutes or even 15 minutes, right? So we'll leave it. Then you can set priority. The other time, if you use 0, it means that is the first server that the internet will consider to delete your email for your user. So that's simply how to add. Then you go back to the domain and go and let's just add other records. This record now is for auto discover for Outlook. If you are configuring Outlook from for your user, it's supposed to go, Outlook is supposed to query your domain or the server who is hosting your server, who is hosting your mailboxes, right? They call it auto discover, auto discover. So we can add this as well, which I think so already have, but let's copy this. The name is auto discover. Oh, the name is Auto Discover. So we have one here already also, is autodiscover.outlook.com. So I don't need to add any extra one. I'm going to leave it. It means my user can configure their Outlook client or yes, the Outlook client from anywhere on the internet, right? I will go back again. There are other records. This now is for SPF record. We'll talk about this in another, maybe next week. We'll talk about it. So this is to help secure the email and tell any organization you send email to, they will go and use this to verify or validate who is the authoritative server to send email for your domain, right? That's what this SPF record means, and which I want to believe I also have one here. But let's see, and let's see if it already exists. The TXT record. Yes, we have one here. This is the SPF record, but I need to know who is it pointing to. Okay, it's pointing to Zoho and the rest. So this happen if you have other mail servers or any other IP that can send mail for your domain. That's why you put multiple here like this. But in your case, if you are simply in Office 365, it's only this you need to add. That's SPF V equals to SPF1 includes, this, and that is all you need to add. So we also already have it here, and we are also going to stop here like that. I will say there are other ones for Intune and the rest, and DKIM as well, but we'll leave this for now. I will say continue. Continue is going to go back to the DNS host and check if those records exist. If they exist, it will pass and we can move forward from there. So yeah, we couldn't find this. Okay, they couldn't find the MS record, and they found it rather, but it has multiple information. So we can actually choose to delete every other thing if those other servers are not important. That's this other one. You can delete them. Now, this, you see, anyone that is passed will be green like this, and it means we are good to go. So in order for us to not have issue with our email, let's check the SPF record. I'm just going to, let's get rid of all these ones. Zoho, I don't need Zoho right now. Let's delete so that we can have a clean record here. And then I have this as well. Delete. And there's a third one. There's a third one, which is also Zoho. I delete as well. So now I have just one record. I can tell this guy, go back, continue. I can tell it to revalidate by pressing the continue button. Then it checks again. If it has cleared out, give me all green and we can move forward from there. So once we have the domain, and yeah, there we have it. We have everything looking all good, right? And we are done. Now let's go back to Exchange Online. Go back to Exchange Online and refresh, right, this page. So we should have that domain in here now, and it also automatically become our accepted domain, right? Can we see the domain is here now, and it's also saying authoritative. So in the case where I have Zoho, let's say I still have Zoho, Zoho is still existing, right? What I will do is to come here, select the domain, and change it to internal relay, right? When I select internal relay, it's saying accept mail for all subdomain that I may have under it. Maybe I might have subdomain can be development .chavi.com.ng, right? But that is how I'm going to change the domain to tell Exchange Online that I have mailboxes somewhere else, right? If I do this and we close, it will expect me to go and create a connector, but we are not going to be doing this. We are going to leave it at the authoritative that it is, and that is simply how to, excuse me, that is simply how to set domain from authoritative to internal relay. Now, because the emails, the domains are saying authoritative, if anybody sends email to our user and that user does not exist in this environment, there's no mailbox for it, it's going to bounce, to not deliver because the user does not exist. So that the recipient will get your mailbox is rejected because the user does not exist, something like that. So that is simply um, that's simply accepted domain. Now, looking at remote domain, this is remote domain, and the default one we looked at it last week. The default one is carrying asterisk, right? It's carrying asterisk, and here you can see the default domain is any domain. It means any domain. And then there are other settings here where it say message reporting, allow delivery report, allow not delivery report, not allow meeting forwarding, right? Notification. You can edit this and change those settings accordingly. The same thing here. Also, edit reply type, and the options are allow only external out of office reply, only allow automatic reply, and allow auto forwarding. So these are a few settings that you can perform on remote domains, right? Let's look at, let's say we want to add one, we can do like this and say Gmail, right? Maybe gmail.com. Maybe people complain specifically that they are not receiving, they are not able to send email to Gmail. You can come and add it here, right? Gmail.com. Let's just call it Gmail as the name. Then we'll click next. And from here, you can select the different things. Allow only external out of office reply. That means if a user is going on leave and you configure out of office, you will be able to send automatic reply to users or senders whenever they send it, right? Then allow internal out of office reply. So this is where, let's leave it as default to move on, just to play around all the settings. Then message reporting, right? Select the following option to allow the sending of message reports and meeting forwarding notification to remote domains, right? Message report. And what is this message report? When some people, when they send email, they will go do extra setting in their Outlook and say they want to know when the recipient have received their email, when the email delivered, they want to know. Then they want to know when the recipient has read their email. So when somebody read the email, an automatic message will be sent from that person to the sender that they have read the email. So that is where this message report and forwarding notification comes in. Then we go next, and here is talking about text and character set, right? Control the format of email messages and how they are sent to people on other domains. So if you say use rich text format, you can either say always or follow the user setting based on the user. Then there's this mime character. Forgotten the full meaning of mime, right? But it's kind of a kind of ISO requirement or certification that you might have, just in case you have the need for it. So it means you can select which of the country ISO mime character certification or requirement can you want to apply. on this particular remote domain if there's need for you to set up a separate one. So that's it. All the next thing is to review all our settings and click save. But we are going to cancel out from here. We don't need any extra remote domains right now. That's simply how to create remote domain. And you see the other setting, allow out of office type. It is external. External out of office type is what is currently allowed on this particular domain. So now let's move on to connectors, right? We talked about connectors as controlling the paths that the email takes to go in and out of an organization. And we said if you have an internal relay configuration, you must have a connector, right? You must have a connector. And you will have two connectors. There is the outbound connector, there is the inbound connector. Currently, there's one here. I think I created this while I was trying to show someone. And if we look at the settings, right, it's saying from, where is the mail coming from? It's coming from users in this my Exchange Online environment. And it's going where? It's going to my other servers where other mailboxes are hosted. There are some users that are not in Exchange Online here. Their mailboxes are on my on-prem Exchange server or the other server, wherever it's hosted. Then this is just a name, and the status is currently on, right? It's turned on, and I said it will use the connector. Now, use the connector only for email that are sent to these domains. The domain I put here is chavi.net, right? Only to this domain. So this domain must also exist as an accepted domain in my environment. So this one is currently outbound because it's going from Office 365 to another server that is outbound, going out of Office 365 or Microsoft 365 environment. Now you need to state who is the server, where is it, how can it be located? Now I have this name, and the name is associated to an IP. There's always a public IP for Exchange Online to be able to route the email to and drop the mail and hands off the email to, right? It's called email routing within your connector. So in this case, I said to get to this domain, the server that is hosting my mailbox, other mailbox for this domain, go through this name, public name, and the name have this public IP address that is titled. Then the other thing is security, right? Security. You can tell it to always send the email on a secure tunnel. And if you select this, there's a certificate that is involved. It means there must be a certificate associated, configured rather, on this domain, on the server that the domain that the email will be dropped to or be received. There must be a third party or public certificate that is installed on that server for this domain or for this email, yes, for the domain, and the certificate rather must carry this name, or it can be wildcard certificate. When we say wildcard, we also mean asterisk.domain.com, asterisk.domainname.net. It means anything else for that domain, anything, accept it, as long as the certificate carry the domain name, accept it. So then when you finish creating, one of the things you want to do is to validate. If I click validate, it's going to ask me to put the email address of a user that is hosted on that external exchange or external mail server. I'll put the email. So let me say I have a user, this user does not exist. The mailbox of this user is hosted on my server that is called mail.chavi.net, right? I'll put it and then I'll say validate. Once I click validate, what it's trying to do is it will go and look for that IP address and try to send a test email to this user. If the user exists and the server exists, it will it will pass. Then it will give you a report right here, whether it passed or it failed, right? And this is also how you can troubleshoot what we call auto discover. So if you look at this now, on the task, there are different process he went through. The first one is connectivity check to this server, and it failed because actually it does not exist currently. So it will definitely fail. But he's saying, can you resolve this? If you go here, there's a record. There's a record for, there was a record for May dot. Let me see if it's still there. Cancel this. May dot. I have this web name. Okay, I think I've removed it. So I've removed it. Or is it? Yes, I've removed it. But however, he's saying he's able to resolve this name, is able to resolve it to the public IP address that we have said. But he's unable to connect to it because that server is not online, right? And it will give you more details. So you can use this to actually troubleshoot further. You can use this to actually troubleshoot further, right? For the reason why it's not responding. And I'm thinking maybe this server is somewhere in Office 365, that be in Azure. That's why it's responding, but I can't remember where I have it. So that's one way to try to validate connectivity. And the next thing is going to check if it's able to actually connect. If it's able to connect, the next thing it's going to do is to send email. You see what it's doing? It first check the domain name, and then it's checking the IP itself again, or it's not able to connect, even though it will resolve. The IP is a valid IP on the internet. So we're going to cancel out here. And this is currently as a consign connector, and this is outbound connector. So let's look at process to create. If I want to create a new connector, this is how we'll go about it. Click the new, create, add a connector, right? And the first thing is going to ask us is, what is the flow? The scenario, the flow scenario. Is it from Office 365 to a partner organization? Or, sorry, is it coming from Office 365? Is it coming from my SQL server? Is it coming from a partner organization? So let me pick that is coming from my Exchange on-prem. Remember, we have the one that is going from Exchange Online to my server. So now I'll pick that is coming from my Exchange server, and you need to deliver here to Office 365. Then I click next and give a name, test connector kind of. This is inbound now, coming in, right? And I say I want to turn it on. Then retain internal Exchange email header. Every email or every message have header. We'll just leave this as default. We turn it on. Then we're not going to specify the name of the server where the email is coming from. We will maintain mail.chavi.net. We maintain mail.chavi.net. Am I still here? My network just flickered. So we'll maintain mail.chavi.net, and then we'll click next, right? And that is just it. This one is simple. You don't have to do anything special, and you click create. So it will create it for us, and we're going to see. Now, error executing request for this service offering. You can't create or update inbound connectors in this environment. That's because of for this service offering. I don't know why that. I should be able to. But we'll look at it. But that's simply how to create a connector, right? That's inbound connector now in Exchange Online. So that's simply connector. Now let's go quickly to message trace again. I know we've come here before. We're able to trace some messages the other time, or run some trace, even though it wasn't showing us anything. So let's see if there have been any email to this environment. We had some mail last week, right? Can select from the default or you create a new one. Send mail from my primary domain in the last day. You can pick this. If we open this, see what it says, the sender, anybody in this environment, anybody, and it's saying we have total 8. I don't know what this is anyway, but because I think we have more than 8 users currently that have a mailbox. So we are picking anybody at the domain is what we want to check. We want to see all the emails that have been going out in this environment for a period. Then to who? To anybody also on the internet. You can leave it as that. Then time zone that's already picked based on the computer that is accessing this site. That's picked my time zone. And I can change the time zone if this is wrong, right? Then start date. Remember we said by default, you give 2 days. So this is 5th and this is 7th. That's 2 days. This 2 days report is going to get for us here, which I don't know if we will have anything. Let's make it 7 days, right? So that we can get something even from last week. All right, 7 days. Today is what? Today is, go back. Okay, let's go this 7 days. That's from this date to this date, right? You can give other header to further streamline it, but we want to search for just any email and then the report. Now, because we'll be doing instant report, message sent from my organization, I said save, and I click done, then we click search, right? Yeah, so okay, it was able only to give us one email. But this is an example. You can click this, you can see now, mail from Victoria to Titi, then tried testing you. That is the subject. You'll see the subject, so you can use to trace, and the status say what? Delivered. So we can open it up to see more information. And the more information is sender to recipient. See the flow. The email was received, processed, and delivered. Victoria drafted the email in our inbox and in our Outlook and sent. The server received it, that's Exchange Online received it, processed it, and then sent to the user and deliver it to Titi. Now we can see the status, the delivery time was delivered on this day, 1st of March, right? And we can expand further here. Expanding further here, you see more information. Look at this message you received by this is server in Exchange Online. Then after received, that's when the user drafted the mail. Then message was submitted, right, to the server. The message was submitted and the message was delivered successfully. You see all this. If we have need for more information, these are more information. So in a situation where, and you see the IP, this IP is the IP address the user is connecting from. In a situation where the email was not delivered or it was delivered and it went to junk, to give you more information here to tell you that the message went to the junk folder of the user or was delivered into another mailbox of the user. And from here also, you can actually view the header, right? Header analyzer, and you can prepare an email extended report for it. So if we look at header analyzer, it will automatically open this thing for you. That's message trace, message tracer, right? Header to message header tracer for you. So, right, I think I'm going to stop here because our time is fast spent, right? But this is simply how to troubleshoot email within Exchange Online. The only thing we didn't touch today is rule. we'll see if we can quickly touch it tomorrow before we move on to something else. So just quickly, I need you to answer a few questions for me. Let's see how much of understanding we have of what we have talked about today. Okay, so now what is an accepted domain in Exchange Online? Let's see your answers in the chat. Okay. Okay, that's all right. That's good. Yeah, we're listening. Oh, that is good. Everyone picked the option B, which is a domain your organization accepts email for. And that is the correct answer in this case. The next question is, which accepted domain type accept all recipients or expect all recipients to exist in Microsoft 365 and reject unknown recipients? So, okay, all right. Okay, good. Everyone is selecting option C, and that is actually the correct answer. Option C, authoritative domain type. Then we move to the next one, which is when do you typically need a connector in Exchange Online? When do you typically need a connector in Exchange Online? Okay. That's good. This is really great. People were really or seriously paying attention in the class. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. And the correct answer again is option C. For special Mayflow scenarios like on-prem, server, partner, or relaying from app or devices. And then we have one here that says, what is the key difference between Mayflow rule and Outlook inbox rule? The key difference. Okay. Well, my things has frozen. I hope people can still hear me. Okay. All right. Yes, the answers is also correct. Is option B is the correct answer. We have a final one, which is this. What is the primary purpose of message trees in the modern Exchange Online admin center? The primary purpose. That's the final question for today. Am I still here? Okay, I think I don't think I'm still connected. Can anyone still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Madam Titi.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So the final question, or question number 5, also yes, is correct. You are all correct. It's also C, right? C. Thank you so much. And that is the end of our session for today. We'll pick a few questions. Anyone we can answer tonight, we'll treat it tomorrow, probably before we start. So it's question time. Yeah, do we have anyone that want to answer questions? Adekunle?
Yes. So I think we have two people. I can see two people with their hands raised. Okay, 3. So we'll just take these 3 now, and then because of time, we'll take the others tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
Isaac, Ezra, and Wisdom. Isaac, Yahdi, sorry, and Wisdom. So Isaac, your mic is allowed, as well as Yahdi and Wisdom. So Isaac, go first. We'll have Yahdi, and then lastly Wisdom.
Okay, good evening, Isaac on the line. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my question centered around the custom domain option. Okay, I want to ask, in a situation whereby you have your domain and your email hosted elsewhere, example like Google Workspace, and you are looking at the option of using Microsoft 365, other applications except for your emails. Okay, so how do you add that custom domain without the MX records? I don't know if I'm clear.
Yes, you can actually add. So what you said is you want to use other services, but
Yes.
not email.
Not
right?
email, yes.
Not email. So you can add your record, your DNS. Sorry, your domain
Yes.
exactly the same way we added just now.
Only the
But
TXT.
that's the TXT to validate it, right? After adding the TXT to validate, you can configure your user's account to be able to use that domain to sign
Yes.
in to Office 365 to access any other service, but not email. Now,
Not
there
email.
are other records that you want to add, right? To say, okay, maybe for Teams and the rest, you can. Okay, so what I saw the other time, they've changed it. Before, you have to select your domain to be used for email. If you want it to be used for SharePoint, if you want it to be used for Teams, you have to select them. But that option has been removed now. The only option there is for you to set for email records and then set for Intune, right? And then one other service that you can set it for. So you don't need to, the only thing you won't do is to alter your MS record. That's the only thing you won't do. But you can add the domain the same exact way that we did now, and start making use of the domain in the Office 365 environment. Yeah, it's not going to affect your email flow in any way.
Okay, so without adding the MS record, it will still work.
Yes, it will still work.
It will be validated. Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Next question. Next question, please. Adekunle, have you enabled the next question?
Yes. So Yahdi, you can unmute and speak. The mic has been enabled. If you can't speak yet, I think Wisdom is already off mute, so you can go for it, Wisdom. Yeah.
Very much, madam. My question is that I missed your first 2 questions. I don't know if it was my Zoom, my network, or I don't really know. Maybe I was listening to you as a message. I don't know if you were asking questions or I dozed off. I don't really know. I came back on the 3rd question. I would like for it to just be flashed. So I can just maybe take it from one lesson. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
All right. Do we have anyone? Yes.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, ma?
The first
Yes, I can hear
Second
you.
one.
Okay. My question goes this way, ma. Since we are using this Cloudflare, okay, should we be able or should we enable the DNSSEC to prevent DNS spoofing for someone that is using premium MS365 premium tenant?
Yes, as long as your domain in Office 365, as long as you are using it to do email, to send email out, then SPF record is important.
Okay.
Do you understand?
And
Yes.
yeah, I got your point. And secondly, ma, I want to just take some permission from you. Just a request, okay? Can I be able to add your tenants as to my bit as a B2B? You know, let me just add you in as a B2B, okay? For more practicing, if you won't mind.
No, I mind. Fortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, ma.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much for the questions, Isaac, Yahdi, and Wisdom. And thank you so much, Madam Titilope, for the great session. I'm sure we all enjoyed it and we've learned. If you know that you got something out of the session, can I see thumbs up and can I just see your reactions in the chat? Thank you, guys. All right, so because we've gone past the time, we want to just let you know that to take continue tomorrow, just like Madam Titi said. And I don't think there are any more questions anyways. So we'll just continue tomorrow, and I want to employ you guys by 8 p.m. West African time. We'll be starting, and then let's try to join and pull in our friends as well to be a part of this session. So thank you everyone for joining tonight, and let's have a great night, great morning, or afternoon, wherever we are. Thank you again.